It is now August 17th, 2018. It's 12:31 a.m. Been a few hours ago. I purchased some Mountain Dew and a pack of Camel Crush blue and black pack cigarettes. Uh, Once again, it's August 17th, 2018 to 12:31 a.m. Just make sure that's clear. Said it a second time. I date and time all my videos, or for the most part. Anyhow, what the problem is here is, I've drinking plenty of the Mountain Dew, and I believe it's contaminated. Another laughing factor of product contamination. I ended up, not to get too involved, or not, I won't say involved, but disgusting, but diarrhea. Anyways, that kind of sucks. I'm talking differently now. I had my teeth removed due to bad teeth. They said the roots were really good. Some of it was like, oh man. Usually they look for in the roots of the teeth, not to get off the subject, but point of contaminated food, contaminated products. Not only just food, cigarettes, all kinds of different things. Anyways, the roots of the teeth, usually if it's decaying because of the tooth or disease problems, usually the root also has decay to it, or like a yellow line, or some distinctive understanding to the dentist. And they said last time, they even said the same thing, what was it, back in 2014, they pulled a tooth. Even though the jaw, it looks like in the x-ray, supposedly what they're saying is there's deterioration or something. But the root itself of the tooth was like excellent condition. The top of the tooth was rotted. A lot of the teeth that was up in my upper mouth, just at the gum line, like some ate just at the gum line. Had some situations in Colorado Springs, which has also followed me out here to Columbus, Ohio, which I ain't been in Colorado Springs for 11 years, and they're still in here targeting, harassing, stalking, and all the rest. That includes, though, not just groups of people. They're utilizing systematical assault, like sabotage, blackmail kind of situation, even though the blackmail is not technically termed. Blackmail usually consists of a business situation to where somebody's using leverage to extort the business or money out of somebody that has a company type of status, to utilize their foundation of the company to extort money, or it can lead into other things. But the extortion part, sabotage, setup, threat of control, almost like human trafficking. It's definitely abuse and all that stuff. But contaminating food, Rice Krispie treats. Another local corner store here. It's not a 7-Eleven. Columbus, Ohio has a lot of different type of little corner stores ran by just private individuals or whatnot. Anyways, it's kind of coincidental. Either A, someone contaminated the product after finding out the Rice Krispie treats that had urinated in, they put it on CNN, or B, really strange that the place that, and I bought Rice Krispie treats quite often, I won't say too often, but kind of often, and it being offered up like that, you need a snack. Anyhow, and me to get a contaminated pack. Never made it proof as far as paperwork wise, but 100%, I did a video before they even printed the news story out, or did the news story. It tasted like piss. It smelled like piss. Well, a lower distinction of piss. How do you know what piss tastes like, though? What a disgusting situation to go through. But the smell, right after biting into it, chewing, and it has piss and smell in it, and then being told that I'm just being awkward. I'm probably just strange. Schizoid out. Bullshit. Anyways, with the product here, the Mountain Dew, it's either that or the cigarettes. I'm gonna go with the Mountain Dew because I had some other situations, and for some reason there's a phone in the background, just disconnect, electronic jamming stuff also going on. Tons of different things going on. Not just electronic jamming, tampering, data tampering, whatever they can do. Yo, what up, bitch? But anyways, not to put a bad video out there. I don't want to, I won't say get banned or ridiculed, or I could have done it better, but right now I really can't do anything better because I've been messed with. Once again, phone in the background already. Hey, what's up, dude? Uh, Trying to make it out that I'm under investigation. I'm under some type of controlment. I went through the police. There's people that stepped out finally 2015, and a trip. That's a trip in New York City, and then a trip that I did April 1st to Washington D.C. Massive stalking, even in D.C. and all kinds of whack crap. GPS jamming. My map would not keep up. It kept turning in and out. But anyways, I couldn't get a map straight at a certain time interval. Anyways, with that being said, they're challenging me of like, who you gonna go tell? The cops are in on it. There's all kinds of stuff that they keep trying to throw out. Sabotage. How can you take a case from 2002 that was already suspected of basically something similar to human trafficking, and them trying to, and was found out intimidating, threatening, controlling life, controlling systematical shit, and that is with Mexicans, but they were trying to utilize grouping. Who you gonna blame? Blacks, Mexicans? Like, it's all in a type of race tone when it's all organized together. They all talk amongst each other and then produce the situation. Not trying to be racist with that, but that's the way it is. Even a DEA report profiled organizational situations as such that, I won't call them gang members, but it more than likely, in usual view, that's what they do. But let's say without even gangsteristic ties, but the same criminology of organized group, utilizing the same tactics, same intelligence of trying to set things up to make somebody's mind think it's one thing, or getting them unsteady is the way I'm going to put it right now. Basically, like almost incompetent to the situation, and then taking advantage of them, threatening, and all the rest. Similar to human trafficking. Now, I've talked to individuals that was part of human trafficking, some that was still being trafficked, and some that went through agencies, and they stepped out and talked to me. I won't say haven't, but it's not, usually human trafficking consists of sex crimes or sex slavery. But there is a certain extent of the techniques that was worked into myself. But you have corrupt police. 2002 was one of the situations. Arizona, I wasn't from Arizona, Tucson, Arizona, and somebody stood strong with police corruption. The cooperation, the harassment, ostracizing, trying to threaten, putting too much force of authority out on something that does not even have the right to authoritate itself against me. Sanctions, like I'm trying to enforce with their law enforcement authoritation, but there's no paperwork for it. And they said they was investigating stuff. They gave me a card and told me, if you see any cop, it doesn't matter if they're sitting in the parking lot, if they're at a stoplight, if they've crisscrossed you and they're staring at you, get as much information as you can and call us back, because technically they'd be cooperating with organized crime, which is a crime. On top of them being law enforcement, makes it 10 times worse supposedly on them. But anyhow, to get back into contaminated products, long, lengthy life of situations, foul misconduct of the government, foul conduct of law enforcement agencies, and then now I make a complaint, then they come back and like, well, okay, you ain't okay, so we're going to start profiling and condemning you and trying to basically not just harass, but take your life from you for the fact, we'll just deem you incompetent and we see fit because that's my authority. And I went through other things, internal affairs, and that went into corruption. There is all kinds. It's so harsh on certain situations. It's too hard to explain because there's multitudes of places, stories, and trying to interweave it. But anyways, there was some help, and it was very difficult to get, especially when you're dealing with internal affairs that's corrupt and you have to go higher. And then those people tell you don't have enough evidence, or you don't have any evidence, you should have built something, and then whatnot. But then somebody finally got into it and found out. Just like Colorado Springs. I always bring that up. I don't want to completely target that individual with a past situation of bad misconduction and wrongfully doing people, but you can look it up. Colorado Springs IA back in 2000, between like 2004, 2006, probably even before then. Same complaint. I walk in with the complaint and it gets thrown in the trash. They discovered that, put it on the news, put it in the newspaper. They redacted the situation is what I think is what it's called. After 6 months, the police paid to redact most of the story, so you can't get most of the evidence or understandings of the story, except where some type of situation happened, there is a complainant, and all the stuff started disappearing and was from a couple of page per se story turned into just a paragraph. And yes, you can, after 6 months with a news story, depending on how it is lawfully, pay or enforce to redact a lot of the information of being pit out and all that bullshit. So what are you trying to cover your tracks for? I mean, I understand some of it is, anybody and everybody probably would do the same thing if they got in trouble and they didn't want that much stuff after them serving their time or the situation being out and known, to be able to be looked back on, I won't say just properly, but be able to look back on, and everybody and their mom would know what happened. So trying to reduce that. But anyhow, with the product here, this is bought off of West Broad Street, relatively next to Grub Street, Columbus, Ohio. It's just relative. It's not cross streets 100%. It's just a store within that area. I'm not going to give the store's name. A lot of connection with that store. A lot of situations from 2006. Sabotage, false accusations, setup, and all kinds of crap. So the government's not really, and the law enforcement here in Columbus, which everybody's pointed the finger to, even the police in Arizona in 2002, that somebody is trying to excessively use wrong authorization. They had what was explained to me, jurisdictional problems, and they was not allowed in Arizona. They wouldn't even be allowed out of the damn city. But it wasn't just Columbus. Colorado Springs also participated, and these people are enforcing they can do whatever they want to. Well, they got in trouble for that. They also got in trouble. That's when it was starting to get tied in. You're associated with an organized criminal situation here. You're telling me you're trained, certified, you have the psychology, understandings of our system, and you're violating that? And then he was told, just simply by him, you should have acknowledged that you're in the wrong and just completely cease with your shit, and they didn't. So I was being systematically assaulted, and they was investigating that, but I didn't stick around because some of the protection that was given for the few days started dissipating more, and I just felt that I wasn't safe, even though, why would I go back to Colorado Springs, Colorado? Well, the situation of systematical assault, wrongfully written up with criminal charges from a bad cop, which all of those charges except for one, which was like an open container or something like that, was all wiped off my record twice. I was shot at by a security guard down there. I had all kinds of stuff going on, and the police informed the people that was around me that if anything happens, they already know it was you that set it up. We will investigate and come after you. I don't care what he does. If he gets in trouble, I'll also investigate the police. They had a whole freaking police force out there of all kinds of different people, and a house watch is what it was, like protection. They understood things was going on 24/7, and me being the voices, somebody walking by, calling out names, or trying to induce an memory of something that happened, either traumatic or no matter what it is, trying to intimidate with memories of, hey, we're physically right here, what you gonna do about it? Well, that was being picked up on. Most law enforcement is supposed to pick up on that. Anywhere and everywhere. Anyways, a lot of places don't work it the right way, and that's the way human trafficking, being held captive, being intimidated against so much force to the point that somebody loses life and all that stuff. Anyways, contaminated product, barcode 01223305, but the barcode is not only the one thing that you want. There's an imprintation on the bottle itself, but I'm not just giving instructions, but for myself to show myself off. So far, I'm looking into contacting the FDA, see what they can do, and supposedly I'm supposed to report this to the police, but when the police are involved with it, do you think I feel comfortable reporting it to my local police that already have a neighborhood problem with me? How do I explain the situations? It's hard for me to explain for someone taking it disbelief, or hey, you're making that complaint, we'll come out and investigate, and having so much connection in the network, because I also had problems with the FBI and corrupt works. and that was in Colorado Springs. The ship followed from there, but they're also relating here to Columbus, Ohio. But I'm not going to blame the FBI just yet here in Columbus, Ohio. Positively, even you had police officers, good police officers, not just trying to play sidey side. Realize, no, man's having major problems. These guys are out here doing something wrong. And what's the people going to do when you don't have as much knowledge or power as these people when they're threatening you of understanding how to report it or how to deal with the situation? The intimidation of the community also. Anyhow, I barely can see this. October 1st, 2018 is the date on it. The code underneath is probably the one for the processing. 2021 C 0060483. There's also an imprintation on the inside of the back side of the label here, but it's backwards. But to read it forward, it'd be 4556 C O, or maybe that's 000 actually. Another either O 2 3 1 4 8 5. Now that's slow. Why would I put that in the video? That's stupid. Not really. More than likely, I wonder if I've called in on other products and sent them back to the company, and they wanted these codes. They also tell you something, not just codes, but what do you call them? Imprintation, processing, manufacturer. I guess is code or number. What batch number? What all that bullshit. So if anybody wanted to call up themselves, maybe I did. Maybe it's just coincidental again. There's been a bad batch of food delivered to the neighborhood, and I'm one of the only people that's eating it, whatnot. Maybe somebody else ought to help me out and check it out, or not putting it in a bad way if you wanted to, just in case in the future it gets on the news that this product, all of a sudden some dickhead in the manufacturing part pulls his weenie out and pisses in the Rice Krispie treats. There is what the CNN story was. And it was shown on TV. The only thing they did was blurt it out. You go to YouTube, it used to be, and actually see the full footage. Yow. Anyways, you know, who knows? I'm going to say X-Lax. It had a very a light scent of ape crap, but a whole scent that I acknowledge. It's a memory that I get immediately. When I was traveling, I traveled on the highway hiking, and I'd stop at truck stops and stuff like that, and it would be the same similar smell. And it's not the scent of the drink, it's what came out, which without being sick about it, but smelled like a greasy truck stop, but with a little hint of ape crap. And it's pretty distinctive, I guess. If you've been to the zoo, it's definitely a different smell. Just has that, might even have a gorilla ape. But also, that was really lighty scented, without getting too nasty into it, the truck stop thing. And when that happens, what's the first thing? I ain't been out traveling for a while. I ain't been at a truck stop per se for a while, much less, you know, needing to either use the restroom or sitting around long enough to pick up certain scents, and not just scents, actual smells, but scents. And all of a sudden it triggers. It's another contributing factor to psychological harassment, emotional. I'll go with emotional harassment and assault because of the situations and traumatic situations that happen in certain incidences that they keep, and these guys have to be involved with it, keeping record, track, notebooks, and stuff like that, which has been proven. But that's been in the past. That's also not always law enforcement. Just individual witnesses from the communities of where I was at, understanding somebody's stalking me. You can see this person following me around for days, always writing something in notebooks. Someone lost their notebook once, and I read it, and they must have tons of notebooks, but I was working nights outside as a backpack blower for a sweeper company, and they had every shopping center that I was at, the way I was walking, the way I was dressed, the things that they felt was wrong and all the rest. I confronted the system again in Colorado Springs. Nobody should have been doing that. I was under no investigations, I wasn't in trouble, and nothing ever came out of it except for the harassment and the tracking of that harassment carrying on even up to right now. And them being able to look back, and they're trying to utilize, looking back in their logs, their books, and everything else, utilizing X memories, trying to memorize it themselves, and have scientifically done extra stuff with that. They've become highly intelligent with it. So it's not just like verbalization, there's also a scientific way of doing things that's inducing me, either emotionally and psychologically. So, with that being said, main point was contaminated product, Mountain Dew here, and that was the code as far as I know on it. I will come up and post pictures on the website, targetofunlawfulacts.com, and I will be writing a report up on this. I don't want to make it out, hey, how do I know? I will put it this way, the X-Lax situation, I've also had bad cigarettes, multitudes, not just X-Lax, but where I was smoking, it made a bland situation, and I caught a stomach diarrheal situation out of the ordinary and blue. Stuff like that can happen. I'm tired of excuses when you know the taste of it. Chest reach, dull, how was it explained back in the day on websites and in books or by agencies of what you should look for, either rat poisoning, X-Lax, something like that. Usually your product comes out either duller or sweeter. Two far opposites, but those two far opposites usually come back if you get sick. Has the sweeter usually is a certain form of rat poisoning, I do believe. Even though dullness can be there, there's just different types. But the X-Lax would be a dull sensation, should be. It causes the body to dehydrate. It has that situation, if anybody's ever taken the chocolate type of X-Lax, it gives that dull sense. Well, you shouldn't be getting that dull sense out of your cigarettes, products, or anything else. With that being said, wow, you get to see what I'm doing every day now, and have been. And I've had data theft, I've had pictures missing off phones, cameras, I've had a total electronic jamming, I've had all kinds, everything that you want to talk to, like a targeted individual, you can come right back at me. Now the situation is they're trying to utilize, I'm under investigation, and they have the rights to utilize excessive force and whatever they want to utilize. Well, how can you do that when you got pissed off in Arizona in 2002? That's a long time ago to be doing jurisdictional misconduction and then be accused of frickin' organized crime associated shit. Basically, it's organized criminal acts, which makes organized crime. The same group of people, even if you're not claiming an organization completely, but the acts that you commit is no different than somebody else that is part of organized crime, criminal and trying to assault somebody. So, with that being said, I won't do just the government. There is interactions out with real groups of people. I'm not going to dub gangsters, which has been dealt with some cops. Found out I was being followed around and targeted by affiliates, and those affiliates were in paperwork within the system, and technically what they did wrong, even vehicular harassment, sent them away for 2.5 years rather than the normal misdemeanor or even a warning. And the heightened of most what people think, misdemeanor harassment, and getting slapped on the wrist for 3 months or being told not to come back around the person. Those other people went away. Being an affiliate and recognized for the intentions that you're doing or what they was doing, got him slapped, and a couple of them slapped with 2.5 years instantly on the spot. But the thing is, it was only never seen it go completely through court, only the people taken away, so at which it kind of worked that the police was there helping me finally. That was on their own situation in Colorado Springs and in New York and in Florida, and then I'll do Arizona too. But it's hard to explain how that works. When I'm producing, they was helping, but there's also, just like Arizona, there's corrupt cops that was not helping and putting me under pressure. And by the time the pressure came back around, what a more harm could happen to me? What would they allow to happen if not take it into their own hands personally to do some type of harm? But that being said, the affiliated harassment stuff, I've had contaminated products just like in Colorado Springs. It's one hard one, and I'm having problems right now. I have lower teeth still, and they're aching like I've eaten too much sugar, or there's cavities. There's something to the effect. Now that's when tooth rot starts happening, the jawbone situation, where the roots are fine, but the bottom where the gum line meets, or the tooth itself starts rotting at like 10 times the ratio of what it's supposed to be. Well, in Colorado Springs, I had bought a 40 ounce. I drank a lot back in the day, and I'd go and drink the same beer over and over and over. I'd say make it out every day, or, commonly what I drink. I walk into the liquor store and I pick up that same drink, and the liquor store people was not always great, but they allowed somebody to put a contaminated drink on their shelf, knowingly what drink I drink. I drank it, and it ate my teeth up a little bit that night. It did some other damage, and somebody else in the neighborhood knew it was happening. I think I discarded because I was out and about camping, doing some other things, even though it's inside the city, but out in Colorado Springs there's a lot of nature. Anyways, I think I discarded most of it. I had one that had mold in it, and the other one was, I already drank it and didn't know it, but that's what it was, contaminated harshly, that ate my teeth up one, and it made me look signifying. They were just in here completely trying to do whatever they can, which is now becoming to me life-threatening. Explaining this to the police, once again, corruption. Oh, ownership of the neighborhood. I know what's going on. I know what's best in the community. I'm here 24/7, every night, every day, which is kind of coincidental. If you're there every night and day, well, why the hell didn't you pick up on anything? We've been told to do this. Colorado Springs tried the same thing, and that's where some of the bad cops got caught by good cops or enforced cops that came from out of state or whatever agencies besides internal affairs. It went through major city works, and there's other people that had the situation for themselves that was also being bothered. But me, I was a special situation in case. Mine was way severe. Theirs was severe enough to be severe. Mine was severity, the maximum. They couldn't, even the people that was victimized and targeted the same way, knew mine was way more severe. And each time I do that, my teeth are starting to hurt. Dang. Anyways, with that being said, it went through county and the system, and they shut down all kinds of shit. The cops started involving themselves. The good cops started involving themselves rightfully, and cracking down on all of this bullshit of somebody said it was okay to do. You had mayors, judges, and everybody else. Who you saying it's okay? Who told you it was okay? It's time to start turning your stuff in, because I want to know who told you it's alright. Because that's misconduction on your part. You should read into it. You shouldn't be, if you feel something's strange, especially with so much complaint, you go back in and you check yourself to the point of understanding the situation rather than just enforcing the authority that was given to you. Anyhow, a lot of shit, even through the county. Somebody's lying. That's also where it copped out the FBI, police, agencies. They shut down an agency out there. The county didn't approve the agency to be ran, but the city did. And these people were harassing people mentally. They was enforcing law enforcement, the rights to control, the same thing happening with me. All kinds of bullshit went through the police department, and the county shut them down. They was illegally a government or an authoritative agency illegally operating. Sad shit. But not to get on that, the whole point of the video is getting back to how contaminated products, I've been contaminated, I'm damn sure of it. and how to deal with it. So I was just looking up the FDA. I'm gonna have to get my head level without being intimidated. Hopefully I can talk straight enough to these people, not to just make believable, but make way, and I'll come back and I'll report, or like I was been saying, I'll give out the information that I got. And if it is a contaminated product that's on a list all of a sudden, then hey, thank God I made this video and now it's public. It's not in my private library, me saying it first and then it going on to the news, which somebody else has said that's too coincidental. Organizational to the factor of understanding batches, which batch is being shipped where type of situation. Somebody was trying to basically involve, and I won't always completely do it, but even in DC there a little touch bases here and there of looking into it, but I've never got any victim compensation completely for it as far as on paperwork or nothing else. It's just been a little bit of the social community shit, and hey, that only lasts for so long, even though it should last a lifetime, until somebody else comes out, oh, that's good enough, that's good enough. Really, it's not good enough. Did you go through that ever? No? You think it's okay? The people that want to ridicule the situation, and more than likely are the suspects or the perpetrators, which is another thing of how to pit one and one together to make two, and that should be law enforcement. They are trained that way. They should be trained psychologically. Even if I don't technically come up with the technicalities, which I was explained by county officials here in Franklin County, which is Columbus, Ohio, that they're trained, even if you don't know how to specifically pit it, no matter how strange your story is, to be able to compile it and make something out of it, or understand how to deal with it, rather than just blowing it off. You ain't got nothing, I don't understand you. But that's a whole lot of the situation. Anyways, all done here. Another, I will explain the reason why of the video. It's more rather than informational help right now, of me showing that I'm video logging all of my stuff. They tell you to do that at stalking.org. If you don't do just videos are great. On top, write it down. First of all, people that don't have a phone, don't feel comfortable doing it at the moment or anything else, to write it down on paper. That's your first step of being able to organize a situation yourself, to be able to keep track of the situation that's going on, and being able to have as much detail as you can, and be able to produce it to the police, or produce it to whatever agencies. You can go to your own private lawyer that would help you go to the police, stuff like that. But at least you got something for yourself saying, I'm taking recognition to what's going on. And it is domesticviolence.org, stalking.org, many agencies, and I learned this in the past. Even before internet was even around. Track, write down, and basically keep a record of everything that happens. A lot of people have a hard time doing that, and that's why I offer up videos. Video, when you see the video instead of writing it down, and you're like, when I write this down, I won't remember how I was feeling maybe, or it's not the same. When you do a video, you can see yourself, and you know yourself. It puts that extra communication of memory back to you, and then you can explain it to somebody else exactly, almost to a T more than likely, of okay, now I see myself, and this is how much problem it was, rather than me, it's something that happened 2 years ago, 6 months, even though you shouldn't go, I won't say you shouldn't. It shouldn't last any more than 6 months before you go to the police, if even that. It's already, you go to stalking.org, and they tell you immediately, if you feel intimidated, to report, get all that stuff, get some victimization help, or get some help for being a victim. But it shouldn't go past 6 months for sure. That's devastating. The only thing with that is that not as a no, it's devastating. Usually leads into, rather than just being bugged and irritated, or the minimum of stuff, it usually leads into more stuff, being physically assaulted and anything and everything after that. Anyways, yeah, recording the videos, that's the reason why I do this. I get this in my videos all the time. Hopefully I can become a little more better off. There's 10 times other things happening with me that makes me a targeted individual that's specialized for the fact, I won't say just implants, illegal implanting, no paperwork in the system. I was in mental health and institution for a minute while they was trying to figure out what's going on. I finally blew on these people and just outright flat out told all kinds of different, associated stories, the whole situation. And a lawyer that was representing me, even though it was free, I told them I want everything. All my paperwork, legal, this, that. Do these people have a right? Do the accusational stuff, they're supposed to have a civil suit paperwork. They're supposed to keep the paperwork on them. None of them have it. None of them prove it to the police, which has now become a thing. Even here, DC, New York. Hey, people walking out. Anything in your computer to allow these people to do this? If you don't know it, how the hell are you enacting? Which is also, once again, going back into not just organized crime, but misconduction, intentional, affiliated with criminal acts themselves, and allowing it to happen because it's a thrill, or they don't like the person and they're just going to take, look away from anything that happens to that person. But there was some police out in DC that did also help out, or started standing up. But either way, people walk up to these police because the other group of people are in here stalking, following, and doing all kinds of stuff. And I don't know either or group completely, but I do know somebody is trying to help, maybe. But it's showing proof. Well, the system should work like this. And if they don't have paperwork, how the hell are you making any type of enforcement without anybody knowing about it? To me, that is like brutality. That's psychological brutality. Authoritative, wrong misconduction of authoritation. Anyways, shutting all that stuff down. Like I said, I've been on this for the last 6 minutes of ending this video. You already see, you can't just take my word for it. I know it's like, unbelievable. I'm not looking too great. Need some evidence and proof behind it. Hopefully I can get something out of it, if it ain't testing of the product free, because product testing, ain't cheap. Ain't cheap at all. But a phone call to see the steps, and I'll record the phone call, which I do all of them. I record all my phone calls, in and out. What they tell me, I may not be able to reproduce it completely as the file itself. I don't know. I'm clicking that. If not, I'll just repeat what they said. I'll write it down and relay it that way. That way it isn't breaking somebody else's privacy of utilizing their voice and producing it to somebody else. But anyhow, I'll relay that information. That's what I'm also working on. Targeted individuals, having a bad life because somebody's stalking, targeting, utilizing all this stuff. There's technical terms, there's systematical stuff some people don't understand that they feel is wrong. A lot of people feel that it's wrong, but there's a form of way that you have to control and take care of that. But excessively forcing you to be under ridiculement control is more than likely harassment, at the least. Tort, all kinds of different situations going on with that. Anyways, I'm ending the video. Thank you. If anybody does reach the end of this video, that's what I'm doing here. Have a good day. Hopefully you're okay. Stay safe. Always look for help, even though if you're afraid that somebody's going to do you wrong, it's hard for me to even say because I'm stuck sort of the same way. Try to reach out to somebody that can help. If you don't feel that you don't have nobody, and you really don't, like me, my family are my enemies. They're toxic and have been set and decided by the system, at least for comprehension, one-on-one, that they're not okay. And they've been investigated before on top, but I don't have an outcome or paperwork once again for that. The system does, and whoever systematically assaulted me has notes for themselves trying to play a game with me. Oh, how do you want to handle this? You're supposed to be sane. Well, some of this stuff doesn't have to do with sanity. That's excessive situations going on. Anyways, look for help groups, somebody to help you out, another place to stay, or even, you feel bad talking to the government because you think somebody's in there doing as much as they're doing to me, keeping track even through the government. They got records that nobody else has, and they have a right to them. They understand my family more than I understand my family. They understand my life more than I understand my life. So, if it's that situation, try to get through it. Try to at least make a phone call and get a feel through the helplines of how things are, or to be able to produce it to a private investigator, lawyer, attorney, if you have the funds to do so. All of this stuff is very harsh on people because they don't have the funds to do it, like myself. So, all I can say is just try. That's what I'm trying. Hopefully it works out. Peace.